right, we're continuing on with the unconscious. That's where I left off last time. The first thing we're going to talk about is the psychoanalytic perspective. The unconscious, according to Freud, is a reservoir of mostly unacceptable thoughts, wishes, feelings, and memories. So it's, I like to think of it as like this pool that's sort of bubbling inside of all of us, according to Freud now, remember. Always make the distinction between whether I'm saying it's contemporary and accepted today or whether it's Freud. And so the key thing here is it's unacceptable thoughts that we all have, and it's this constant push and pull inside of our body where it's creating anxiety, and we're always looking to relieve that anxiety. And all of this is unconscious. So this is not something you're thinking about. These are things that you just that are just going on in your body, and you're unaware of it. Contemporary science says the unconscious, in other words, what they accept today is there is an unconscious. We have an unconscious processing, but it's more of like just sort of processing that's going on in the background. As I said before, our brain is always chewing on information. Our brains are designed to solve problems nonstop, and sometimes that's why you can't fall asleep. It's just and your unconscious today that's how we kind of view it. It's more of processing that we're not unaware of. Now, the preconscious is information that is not conscious right now. Okay, we're not aware of it, but it's easily pulled into your awareness. It's sort of right below the surface, so it's not unconscious in the sense that you're completely oblivious to things going on. But like your preconscious would be things, maybe a conversation that you had with somebody this morning, or that you weren't even thinking about until I brought it up. It wasn't in your unconscious, it was in your preconscious, okay? And I guess you could see I could carry over a little bit into some memory theory today, but remember, this is very old and kind of before the whole modern memory theory anyway, so he was kind of dabbling in different areas. All right, now we're going to talk about the structure of personality. This is fun. Those of you who got to see my lecture in class, that is probably my favorite lecture all year long, but I'll keep it clean for the parents, okay? All right, so first we have the id, okay? Freud broke the personality into three, let me see if I get that, three pieces. The id is basically this primitive reservoir of unconscious psychic energy. Its big thing is it strives to satisfy basic sexual and aggressive drives. Okay, it operates on impulse, total impulse. It is not something that the id doesn't think. The id does. The id wants enjoyment. So when you go to if you're trying to train for something and you really shouldn't be eating snacks. You walk in your house and your parents or your mom or your dad has just made a beautiful, beautiful plate of chocolate chip cookies, my favorite. And you can smell them when you walk in. The id ain't going to think about it. It's like, cookies are there, eat. Okay, and eat as many as you want. Eat till you die. That would be the id's way of doing it. So, very powerful force inside of us, according to Freud. Then you have the superego. Okay, the superego is the police, more or less. The superego is your conscience. It is whatever your culture's norms are, rules, norms, and you internalize it. And these are the things that literally keep you from doing all the crazy things that the id wants to do. It's the pull to the id's push. The example of the devil and the angel on the shoulder, that's sort of a watered down version of Freud's theory of personality. That's literally what superego and the id are. So superego is saying no, no, no. Okay. And then you have the ego. The ego's job is to be the executive. Its job is to go between the superego and the id and get what you want done by satisfying both. So the ego, it works in what's called the reality principle. It's going to make sure that, let's see, you shouldn't eat the cookies, but the ego is going to go, super ego saying, don't eat it because you're training, and the id's going to say, forget it, eat it. The ego is going to go, why don't I eat one cookie and then I'm going to go do some extra work, at the weight room, or go for a longer run today to burn off the extra calories, or something along those lines. So the ego is working in reality, okay? The ego is something you've probably heard. It is probably the most retained term that has stayed in pop culture today from Freud. And when somebody has an ego and you say, I don't like them, or they're annoying because their ego is so big, they're really not doing anything bad. Usually people with big egos are not breaking laws necessarily. What they're doing is finding ways to operate within socially accepted norms and get what they want. Many people kind of frown on that. You may say, well, I don't like the way they go about, everything's about them, them, them. But they're not doing anything illegal. An athlete that it just seems to me that, I'm just thinking of football, when somebody scores a touchdown. Sometimes you've seen in the last several years, wide receivers in the NFL, they tend to be glorifying themselves a lot after they score a touchdown. And not giving credit, in a way, a lot of people rubs people the wrong way, in the sense that, it took an offensive line to protect the quarterback, it took the quarterback to see the receiver and throw the ball accurately, and it took the receiver to catch the ball. Yes, they did something important in the process, but there were many people involved. And, a lot of people just don't like the fact that when some of these guys catch the ball, they do a little dance for themselves, and it's sort of like, look at me, look at me, look at me. And they'll say, what a big ego they have. And that's true, but they're not doing anything that's saying, you will look at me, and you're forcing people to look at them, or illegally doing it, or in some way being outside what we accept as the norm for society, because they couldn't do it, or they wouldn't be allowed to do it, or they would not do it if it was outside our norms. So just an example of ego. And you can go into rock stars, you can go into all kinds of different things for people, so I don't want to just pick on the athletes. All right, here's a picture of what the personality structure looks like, should look like. It's an iceberg. It's a perfect analogy for the way Freud saw the personality structure. You have at the bottom, right underneath the water, which means never showing itself as the id. We have all these motivations that go on in our day, and our id is never really something we throw out there. We don't tell people that, what I really would like to do is just punch you right in the face. You may not like somebody, but you may sit in a meeting or something where you don't like people, but you don't really, your id might be in there going, just punch them right in the face. And the superego, of course, is below the level as well. The superego is saying, don't do that. But your superego is partially below water, below the surface, and partially above. There are things you show. You may say, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, no, sir. Or those are morals that you express, but you don't go around usually espousing all of your beliefs to everybody. So you have a whole bunch of beliefs that are below the surface that you just keep to yourself, and you have a way of acting that you say, well, no, I don't do that. I wouldn't do that. And then, of course, the ego has two things. The ego's, again, working in the reality principle, so you're going to see a lot of stuff displayed by the ego, because that's how things get done. And of course, I explained that with the previous example. So that's that. All right. I'm going to stop there. And we're going to start next with the psychosexual stages.